Welcome everyone to Hanseatic Dreamland, my actually biggest episode on this Planet Coaster 2 project. You're going to see why in a second, but we are building a whole bunch of interior stuff today of our tilt coaster. You can see a couple of shots how it's going to end up, but let's start with chapter 1, the interior. Yeah, in the last episode you've seen the layout and everything outdoors, but today we're going to focus on everything that is inside of this building. That means the station, the coaster, but also something else. But before we start talking about that, here's a little note from the channel's sponsor, Instant Gaming. As you all know, this is a platform, you should know by now, where you can get game keys for a good value. They also have in-game currencies, just like PlayStation money and, you know, Xbox network money and how that all is called. You've got full customer support as always, and you find also full games, pre-releases, and actually pre-order I should say, and also DLCs of your choices. Check it out, the link here as always is in the description or on my channel page, and you'll find something for you. However, let's talk about today's build. We are starting a bit with the custom supporting of the coaster on the inside of the house, or in the inside of the house. It's not 100% done at the end of this episode. I'm very sorry for that, but the reason is relatively simple. While I was building lower in this building, in the basement, so to say, I used a couple of pathways, and in that sense, I also deleted some of the actual coaster supports that now are gone. So I will have to eventually refit a couple of custom ones. But yeah, the idea is to make this coaster go through this kind of old storage building, and I gotta admit that this is my hardest build so far in Planet Coaster 2. And the reason for that is this may actually be the first time that I also feel the effect of a missing theme. Now, up until now, I have said that I'm very happy with the in-game themes we have so far. I do believe that you can basically build most of it what you want. You can make kind of sci-fi, you can make western, you can make whatever you want with them. And I'm also like pretty pleased with this kind of typical harbor style build I did so far. But now at a certain point, like coming to this kind of Hanseatic style now, and storages and like base, like backstage areas and stuff, it is becoming a little bit tedious because it always has the tendency to look a little bit too old, I guess. And this is obviously due to the Viking theme, being Viking, you know, and having this kind of old Viking appeal to it. And some of the ornaments and stuff on it are really not helping to sell the idea. And there are a couple of basic pieces missing, such as basic crates and basic scaffolding and, you know, kind of stuff like that would be lovely. You know, partially due to all the new support pieces that has been solved, which is insane saying that, but these couple of pieces help so much. You can see I'm even using them as custom brick pieces over here, which work wonderfully well. I'm very happy with this. Also, this turn over here is the only one I left in the video as a little bit of a showcase for the other things I did. I needed to cut out so dramatically much from this episode. I spent ridiculously 30 plus hours on this build. It is mad. So that's just as an example for what I did in the interior. But then we need to move on to the queue, because the queue area, oh boy, this took an eternity. I must say this was one of my most intricate builds I've done, simply because it has been so complicated to fit it all in. And I also wanted to make something really realistic that isn't just like a normal queue, but actually is like a queue that would more or less work in a real life park as well. And that means it's gonna be very, very long. It's gonna be very you know, kind of interactive with the coaster itself. And as you can see over here, I unfortunately needed to cut that out. I did build custom, how they call lockers, with wrong numbers by the way, but hell. And these locker areas are connected to the separate unload station. So it wasn't also that easy to combine these two areas, because the unload station is on the opposite wall of this locker area. So the idea is that you put the stuff in, and I took this idea from Fly actually in Phantasialand, where you put your stuff into the lockers, and then on the opposite side you can take them out. And this is the idea. So while you're in the queue, as soon as you get into the final part of the station, you have to put your stuff in into these areas, into these lockers, and then you get a little bit of a wristband with your code, and then once you're unloading from the station, you'll be able to grab it. back from the opposite side. So you do have the same number, but it's just like from the other side of the lockers. I feel like that is a pretty good idea to do it that way. Yeah, we are making use obviously also of the tiny editable text over here, even though I gotta say I had a bit of an issue here with selecting pieces, and that is the moment where, well, I just can't. I can't leave it out because it's too important to talk about. So in the last couple of days, I have played a lot of Planet Zoo and Planet Coaster 2, always switching between those two. I'm building something really cool in Planet Zoo, so for those of you who are interested, that game hasn't been stopped, you know. There is new stuff coming, and I'm working on that, but at the moment, simply due to the fact with the little one and, you know, having all these kind of life duties, is not all that easy, and I have to make sure to make the most of my time. But the point I'm trying to make here is I've played Planet Zoo and Planet Coaster 2 Force and Back, and there is one specific thing I want to talk about, and the problem is you can't determine that by a feature or anything like that. It is a feeling, and the feeling is that Planet Zoo just feels so much more reliable and stable. Sure, I must admit that playing Planet Zoo has become a little bit complicated because, you know, the scaling is missing, the new pathing options are missing. Like, it's not all bad, you know. There is definitely a huge leap forward in this game. The interiors, oh my god, I don't even want to build interiors in Planet Zoo anymore because they obviously look really, really bad in comparison to Planet Coaster 2. But when it comes to the whole building, like the whole playing the game, I should say, it's not something I can pinpoint. It's not even that the UI is so horrendous. Like, the UI in Planet Zoo was better, but it's not like this is the best UI ever. But it all feels so much more responsible. It feels so much more fleshed out, so much more, I don't know, kind of real. I can't even put it in words. It's just a feeling thing, you know, clicking on menus, clicking on the pieces, the overall look and feel of the pieces in total, the way how everything just responds to your input, the way the gizmo responds to your input, the way you're misclicking or multi-selecting things. Like, misclicking sounds weird, but it's a thing. Like, if I misclick in Planet Zoo, the game is much more forgiving in comparison to this game. It's just like such a much more, I don't know, if you compare that, maybe it's like an adult game, is that the right word? A grown-up game? I don't even know how to put it in words, and that's a very, very complicated thing to talk about because I can't pinpoint a certain aspect of the game. It's not a feature that is missing or pieces. I mean, yes, this is obviously something that is very noticeable, that Planet Zoo, by now, with that many DLCs and that many also theme updates, just the sheer amount of different pieces, at the moment at least makes up for the lack of scaling. But it's not as dramatic because scaling really does make up for a lot of things. But then again, it is also about flexicolor. So many more pieces are flexicolor and so much more coherent. This little bug that still exists, that when you control Z a piece or go back to the default piece, it always resets to the default color, which isn't the case in Planet Zoo. It's also like if you select another piece of the same set, say you have some iron beams, let's say, and you've got a 1 meter beam and you color the 1 meter beam in like red, and you then take the 2 meter beam or the 4 meter beam out of the menu, it'll be in red as well, because the game anticipates that you may actually remain in the same build. And like, these tiny things are the ones that make building so much more enjoyable and so much more fluent. And I don't, you know, this is something I wanted to talk about, because it's not a particular game feature that is actually causing this issue. It's really the feeling that comes with it, because of the game being so much more. And I guess this is all about finished and fleshed out. I can't even say anything else. It must be that. But hey, back to the building, because I enjoyed this. Like, to be completely positive here, I enjoyed this build here in Planet Coaster 2 a lot. This was definitely one of my most enjoyable ones. While people said with the last episode of my Blizzard Beach, it felt a little bit rushed and unfinished, which legitimately was exactly what I said in the video. It was 100% true. I just wanted to finish this series because I just didn't have the fun and the passion to build in it anymore. This is completely different than that one. I couldn't stop building in here. This is why I spent over 30 hours building this interior stuff. You'll see that in the real-time part. It is mad. It's really nuts. I just so much enjoy the final result of it, and it's so hard to capture that in images because it doesn't really pay justice to how good it actually looks in game. The interior, like the indoor lighting, just magically levels the whole thing up and makes building interiors so much more fun, so much more engaging, because you can finally do something with the lights. You can do finally something with playing with different light variants. Like, see, the whole point of queue areas sometimes is also to tell a story, to build the anticipation to go on that ride, you know, to build the enjoyment, to just captivate people in what you're doing. And so in the best parks in this world, the queues actually tell a story. And for example, just to take the example of Fly again, not only that this is a massive queue, it almost feels like going back to my hometown when I'm going through that queue, which is ridiculous. But it also tells a story, you know, from getting through these city parts and then getting closer to that station and the steamy areas and the engines and hearing the sounds and seeing the coaster passing by and all these kind of things obviously make this experience already an experience while you're in the queue, and obviously that is the main goal you always have. And this is what I wanted to captivate with this queue as well. Like, the more you get into this one, the more you build up the anticipation. Anyways, let's go to step number 3, the shop. The shop means this is a ride exit shop, and I don't even know if I've ever done that in Planet Coaster. Not even in Planet Coaster 1. I think I didn't. And I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I'm gonna be full risky here. I just anticipate that the right photo idea I had from this image might actually be true. Like, chances are very high that this is going to be remaining a fake build over here. But hey, if not, maybe I have done some cool stuff that we can utilize relatively quickly. But for that, I obviously needed to have the build first of all. And this is what we're doing right now on screen. And this is the ride exit Hanseatic store. Like, there is a name for the coaster now. I have the name. I'm not going to reveal this up until we are standing in front of the queue. I'm gonna put a sign on there. I will do a custom sign for that. For the moment, we'll just have a little normal in-game sign, but I've got a very good name. I'm very interested to see how you find this name. I potentially will not have this in the thumbnail anyways, so at this point in time, looking at my footage, you will still hopefully be excited for that name. Now, I kind of found this build a little bit tricky over here, because this is what I meant. This is where I found the limitations of this style. Like, I could use a couple of things of the Viking set. Like, most of the things I'm using are from the Viking set. A lot of the new stuff I did here is using the brand new pieces from the support update, or like from the free update where they had all the support pieces, and making sure that I could build these shelves over here looking very industrial in a way, because the idea is that this is an industrial house and industrial area, and just kind of benefits from it. Also, as barriers are working, I can finally use them to hide them in the ground to make sure that the people don't run through the shelves. And I mean, you know, this is hopefully all subject to change if Frontier is going to give us the souvenir shops from Planet Zoo and bring them in this game as well, potentially with the ride photo thing. I just have to completely redo the shop, but I can, hopefully, this is why I made these shelves as single pieces. I can actually upload them for you as well if you want to. So as like simple elements you can use also in your park, and make sure that you have them style-wise, and, you know, hide the other ones, the actual ones that can be used by the people in there as well. And then I try to also make sure that the roof is a bit more interesting looking, as this is just like a little side area that you walk through. I didn't want to use this whole area and make sure that this is kind of nice looking, so I decided to go for a bit of a tilt ceiling here to get a bit of a bigger feeling of this shop. But I also wanted to make sure that this has like a bit of a how's that called? Like a perspective, playing with the perspective. Like, imagine you're coming out of the ride, and then you go around that corner, you get into the shop, it all feels a bit more tight, and then everything just like opens up, okay? Because I want this light flooding in from the outside, it all opens up to the queue, it doesn't feel too tight and too, I don't know, overwhelming is maybe the wrong word, but yeah. So then I was looking for pieces that you could potentially sell over here. And I mean, what would you sell in an area like that. It's like a storage, you know. But I honestly, I just can't really. I didn't want to have too many flowers, and then would you sell like, I don't know, an iron piece, or like what would you sell? An anvil? It just doesn't make sense. Maybe some gears, and I would like small boxes and stuff make sense, you know. We're in a storage area, so that makes sense. And then kind of boat pieces, but again, these boat pieces, I did use them here, which could be working as old boats, but I would potentially need to build like tiny tankers, and then have these tankers as boats. And yeah, I don't know, this would have taken up another 30 hours if I went in fully, so I decided to use the pieces I found, like little barrels, and just imply that there are things. But maybe having plushies in here would be cool, but then again, I don't even know which plushies I would use, because what is the Hamburg plushie? See what I mean? It's like we have to build a bit of a story around what we would sell in here. Honestly, I would have no idea. Just like maybe miniature trains of the coaster would be cool, and miniature stuff in general. But yeah, this is like what you typically have in the next area. But also like posters are a thing, and with custom billboards I could have done a lot, but the in-game posters unfortunately are all too much Viking or resort themed, and that's definitely not something that fits into my theme over here, and hence I needed to find another one. It's all a bit tricky. So I ended up going for an industrial look, which I think suits this whole thing very nicely, and it does just kind of vibe with everything I did over here. So I'm kind of okay with it. I'm very happy. And also, by the way, you see that I skipped a bit of a part, but I put some out of order images on the screens, so where you can see where your photo is. You know, typically when you come out of a ride, you have these screens on which you see where your photo is, the one you can order, and that is what you typically have. But also looking at the just a memento and so on, it would be so cool to just have also like tiny bags, you know, like these kind of gift bags, souvenir bags, and all these type of things would be lovely to have as items. And sure, with all the scaling options, I could have built them myself, and people have been doing some crazy stuff already with the pieces. But just like at some point, I feel like for me there is like there is this fine edge of going that far for an implied piece of an implied souvenir shop, of an implied coaster exit shop. It's like too many things that wouldn't work anyways, and I'm like, okay, why would you do that? So at the moment, people are just like roaming through this thing and don't even consider the shops. It's a matter of pathfinding for them. They would never come off the ride and go to one of the shops directly, it seems. So they would either go back into the park, and then people actually get back into the shop. So it's not only having this, but also that there has to be a little bit of programming going on, that people like going from the ride would consider going to a souvenir shop nearby directly. In a way, like connecting the shop to the coaster would be a thing, I guess, that they can sell stuff related to that certain coaster people have just been on. But yeah, a lot of talking about these things. You see, this just kind of really sparked my ideas about how you could set up an area or like an ride exit shop, which is very common. Like, it's not a thing that I have come up with over here. These ride exit shops are very common in modern theme parks, and especially with these type of hero rides you have in parks. So let's just have a look how it all looks in game, shall we? Right, we are in front of Freightmare on Elm Street. No, actually it's Freightmare on Rails. Not sure if that's the final name of the coaster, but I thought like Freightmare kind of fits the theme quite well. I also had like kind of, I don't know, what was that, like a warehouse or a warehouse stormer or a tilt Ventori was something I was thinking about. But I think Frightmare on Rails is kind of, you know, the best idea. Anyhow, so let's go in, and you can see that we are going to lead through all these wonderful containers and stuff. Again, at some point, maybe in a live stream, as soon as my little son is a little bit more plannable, is that the word? I don't know. If we can at least stick to a certain schedule, I will be back to live streaming, and then we may actually keep on going with the you know, naming of all these containers, because at the moment SoTrans actually has the upper hand above everything. So yeah, being here, we can actually wait for the coaster really quick. It's gonna go through the house, but yeah, there are a couple of little things I need to fix. I just saw that wall peeking out, but that was because I made a double wall to make it become darker inside quicker. You'll see on the on-ride at the end of the video how that goes. But yeah, so there's the coaster. There you can see it. Wow, and it goes all the way in. Awesome. So when we go through here, we've got a bit of a queue, and then you go all the way through here into one of the first queue areas. And you know, with being in this game now, with having global illumination turned on, it's gonna be very, very cool. The only issue I still have, some lights don't turn on at daytime in the game, which is very odd. Even if they're inside, I think they have no... Yeah, there you can see that already. It's these things are just emissive, but they don't cast light. As you can see, it's way too dark in here, considering that there are lights in. But yeah, I think it still looks pretty decent. It would be a little bit more lit if it all functions. If you go to nighttime, you can see that. Also, you have a bit of a peek inside of the coaster. This is what I was saying earlier. You know, keeping the story alive. I think it looks very cool having this thing over here, and then just like how it goes through here, and you can see that actually go to the back here. Maybe we can catch one. I don't know how quick the next one is coming, but we're gonna stay here. It sounds good though. It sounds like as if it's coming later. I mean, it's way above us right now, but we may actually wait for it real quick, and then we keep on going. So yeah, some of the windows I still kept shut, but that's because to play with the light a little, and from the outside it doesn't even matter that much because these are the fake windows. But maybe I'm gonna turn them into actual windows. There you can see that going through that roll, and then back it goes there. Yeah, I think that's really cool. That's super engaging, and people standing in queue will actually have a good time. Also, the problem is I think this queue will never be filled unless Frontier's gonna completely remove the limit for people in the park, and we can deal a bit more with stations. But yeah, coming in over here, you can see this is our area from the queue. There is the second exit to have the maintenance road. This is not fully done yet, but this has to become the maintenance area for the mechanics and also the staff members. And then when we go in here, this is where we are having our queue section. Excuse me, there you go. And then you can see the queue area in here. I'm a massive fan of how that looks. But again, you can see these lamps are not turned on. Like, I mean, they are turned on in a way, but they are not casting light at daytime. If I turn this into nighttime, you'll see that this happens. I tried to do my best with the ambience light, but the problem is, at nighttime then, the ambience light is added to the other lights, and it's just all way too overexposed. It's a bit of a hassle. I really hope Frontier's gonna fix that soon, to have the lights also be able to turn on and off, just as it is in Planet Zoo, to be honest. So yeah, going into this queue, this is becoming a bit of a bigger area to avoid a congestion here with the people putting stuff in. This is so that people have a bit more space here to wait. You can see baggage drop off. Please put your backpacks, phones, sunglasses, etc. into the lockers. And then you go here, and it's like, you know, I'm gonna choose that one over here, gonna put that in here, and then you go in. There is like, this is for the backstage, and then you need to go to that. It's a bit of tiny, but there's like there's also a bit of the railing is just behind there, so I needed to cover that up. But yeah, people going in here, select the queue you want to go in for, and now let's wait for the next one, because it just looks so sick. It looks so sick. Wait for it. Let's wait for it, because that is just like, I love when the train comes in empty. Look at that. Ah, that is so good. That is so freaking good. That's almost no limits, like, not gonna lie. So if you go here, I basically made this way, and this is where the exit is. Let's see if can we just skip over here. Come on, there you go. I'm on the that's lovely. This is the platform here, the back area. I think that looks fantastic. I think that looks absolutely amazing, considering what you can do. But looking at this scene over here in front of us, I must say this looks straight out of No Limits. Like, if you showed this picture to me a couple of weeks earlier, or like maybe an Unreal project or so, it's not even that this is like, you know, yeah, it's just so good. Like when the coaster comes around here, let's have a little look. Just with the light glooming in here, people come in. There, you see that come in. Oh boy, that's just so good. The coaster stops here, people get off it, and then they get their stuff out of, you know, out of the things over here. We've put our stuff in here, you know, we're gonna grab that from this locker, and then we are good to go. And then eventually the train will leave to the other people. I think this is such a small addition with such a huge impact to the game. Like just seeing that empty train go around that dark corner, for me personally, it just does so much. I don't know. And then you go down here, you have a bit of a peek into the station. You can hear people talking. Tiny little of, I need to still make sure that this looks good. This backstage door over here, and then we are back in the store, as you can see. Then we can just go over here, have a look. Ah, look at that, that's our picture number 2, but it's out of service at the moment apparently, as we don't have the function. And then we can just grab our photo from over here and see all the other photos here as well. That's just how it is. That's just how these shops kind of work. And then you go outside of this, and that's gonna grow as soon as we keep on building in this project. All the areas will obviously keep growing. So this looks freaking empty over here, but there will be some flat rides eventually over here or something else. This area will be all filled. There's going to be like a go-karts track in here, at least at the moment. That's my idea. May change this idea eventually, but this is going to be a go-kart track. There will be another coaster that goes in here. So yeah, we have plans, and you can see the park is relatively crowded. What we can actually do, we can just quickly have a look. How many people? 3,500 people in here. You know what we do? Because I have limited this down. No, I didn't. Why? Okay, I thought I had limited that down just to avoid some issues, but it seems like, oh my god. So everyone is leaving. Is that like because of... Okay, it's kind of shift time, as you can see. People are all leaving, and now new people are coming in. So in total, I think it's stay about the same. But it really is like... I think they have programmed that in, that people just also do half days, that they leave and come in the half the day later. But I must admit, and Frontier, if you're watching... Can we have some fixes of the pathfinding? Like, I made so many huge plazas, but you can see that many people are just using the main road. In this area over here, it is all good, I mean, I could create a bit of a fake, better overall movement if I put in some barriers, but have a look at this. Have a look at this over here. I hope people doing this right now, from the people coming over here. I still don't know what exactly that is. So they come in here, and then they do this kind of zigzag over here. They just go down and there. Like, a lot of people just go here and here. For whatever odd reason they are doing this, I don't even know. Some people go directly, some others don't. Really would love to see this a bit nicer. But I must say, having so many people in the park with a good performance also dramatically changes the experience of Planet Coaster as a game in total. And seeing, look at how many people coming in. We can just quickly check how many this will become. But it's just so much more lively. It's just so much more realistic having so many people also storming into the coasters, making actually a queue form and making actually these kind of things work. I'm a big fan of that. I think this is wonderful that this is now functioning properly as it should in a theme park. And 12,000, to be honest, is still not high enough. Like, if you check, for example, we are going higher. I think that we would hit the 6,000 or so now if we keep it running relatively quickly. But I already had like 10,000 in the park, and it was doable, Let alone this coaster here. If the queue would be filled, you can easily have 1,000 people in that queue, like easily. And the same goes for like some other areas. I'm not sure why this people mover over here is so awfully overpowered. Like, people just love it. The pools over here are also very much loved, but at the moment it's not. Maybe they have had their magic time, I don't know. But yeah, it's coming together. So the next focus will be, just for you to have an idea, because this episode is long enough, but the next focus will actually be on this area. This area is going to receive a massive reverb. Most of it was just placeholder. We're going to have some more flat rides in here. We're going to have a shop, a proper shop or restaurant. It's going to be this building over here, which gets a bit more of an interactive area. I'm going to put all barriers down so people don't crush into containers and stuff. All the planters and stuff will receive a massive upgrade. We will have some new planters over here. So the next episode is going to focus solely on this area and also partially on this, so that the left-hand side of our Hanseatic Dreamland will be finished. So that means also this hand side down here will be finished. So next episode is going to be this, and it's going to be that down here, and then our left-hand side is going to be finished, and we will shift our entire focus into this region. And just for the sake, if you're interested or not, but I'm just telling you, just for the sake of the project in the total, the area I want to cover is mostly this island over here, which will be a lot of work, and also part of this one. So this right-hand side over here, the other right-hand side, and the upper side will become more scenery than others. And I'm I'm keeping it open to me. I'm not entirely sure. There is a chance that we also branch out a little bit more here to the left, but that is just for very late into the project when hopefully a lot of updates have been done to the game. And then we also have this lower area over here, which can also receive a bit of a better aspect, because then the whole project is properly, like if we align this to the borders of our park, you know, like this, it just makes sense to cover this area, but also to go more like down here. I also thought about making like a huge shipyard down here, because that's where it is. And as promised, we will also have some ships moving around here sooner than later, because we have all the tools and options to do so. Yeah, I can't wait. This is a lot of fun. This project still remains my favorite at the moment, because I feel like the theme is still very unseen. I think it's still pretty damn good. And yeah, can't wait to show you more, and I hope you loved this episode. And please do me a favor, if you watch through the episode and if you are happy with the content on this channel, make sure to leave a comment. Also make sure to like the video, because at the moment the algorithm is a little bit nitpicky again. And plus, please double check if you're still subscribed, because YouTube every new year they are doing some housekeeping, and sometimes they remove your subs without you knowing. So make a double check if you're subbed or not. If you're not, make sure to do so. Again, that's the easiest way to tell the algorithm my content is liked. And if you're super crazy, like if you're really crazy and you have time, just watch the next video, okay? Just watch another video of my channel, because apparently that's the biggest YouTube hack. As soon as you go into binge watching, YouTube's like, hey, that video must be great. However, this has been way too much time I spent onto this episode. Hopefully you do appreciate, because next episode hopefully is not going to be 30 hours, because I just can't. I need sleep as well. So have a good one. See you in the next one, and bye.